Hello, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to upgrade your SCCM environment to 1810. So with that, I'm going to show you step by step on what you need to do to upgrade your environment. So with that, let's get started. So as you can see in my environment, I don't have the 1810 listed here, even though I did a check updates. Now I'm going to have to run a script, and I'm going to put the link in the description so you know where to get that script. It's called the Easy Early Update ring. So basically you enable the bash ring for 1810. So I've already downloaded this file. So what I need to do, and also before you do this upgrade, you might want to check the Microsoft website to make sure you meet the requirements in terms of the upgrade. Now if you're upgrading to 1810, you need to make sure you're at least 1710, 1802 and SCCM 1806. If you're not at those three versions, then you'll need to upgrade to one of those versions first before you can upgrade to 1810. And you also want to check the operating system requirements, and you want to also check your SQL requirements. Now, I did have a script. I have a query here, as you can see, and it will tell me what version I'm on. I'm on the standard 2012 Service Pack 4. The query is also on my website, as well as the version table. So if you want to go check out that, I'll also put the link in this description below so you can go look at how you can run this query. And so once you validated that you meet the requirements for the operating system and the SQL version, which I do, so now I want to do is I want to grab that file. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I'm going to go grab that file. And here it is. There it is, 1810. I'm going to copy that. All right, so now I'm going to extract it. I'm going to create a folder called 1810. All right. There we go. All right, once you've extracted the components, you're going to need to run the script. So you're going to run it as administrator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch that there, drag it there, and go ahead and enter. Once you hit enter, it's going to ask you for the site server. I'm going to put my site server name in there. All right, so it's successfully completed the command. So we're going to go ahead and minimize this. We go ahead back into the SCCM console. And I'll also put the link to where you can get the fast enable script in the comment section below. Click on administration. And there you have it. There you go. So now I can download it. So the download will take a little bit of time. So now go ahead and click on download. Now I'm going to pause this video while it's downloading, and I'll be right back. So I thought while we're waiting for that to download, to talk about some of the features of 1810 and what to expect. Some of the depreciated features and the operating system. So starting on August 14, 2018, the hybrid mobile device management feature is depreciated. For more information, I'll provide the link to the comment section below so you can look at what is the hybrid MDM solution. And the support for the System Center Endpoint Protection SEP for the Mac and Linux, all versions ends on December 31st, 2018. Availability of new virus definition for SEP for Mac and SEP for Linux may be discontinued after the end of the support. So again, I'll put a link in the description of the article so you can read up on that if you're using SEP for your Mac and your Linux machines. The site infrastructure now has support for Windows Server 2019. And Windows Server 19. Improvements in the setup, when you install the, these update for 1810, Configuration Manager setup now includes an improved following prerequisite check pending restarts. This prerequisite check is now more resilient. It checks additional registration keys for Windows features for information. I'll also, again, put the link in the article about pending restart. Site system on Windows cluster node. Configuration Manager setup process no longer blocks installation of site server role on computers with Windows role failover clustering. SQL Always On requires this role. So previously you couldn't co-locate the site database on the site server, which this changes. You can create a highly available site with fewer servers by using SQL Always On and site server in passive mode. So again, I'll send you some more information about the Windows failover cluster. You also have new permission for client notifications. So you have the full administrator and then you'll have the infrastructure administrator. So again, there's some more information on that. Content management, there's new boundary group options. You can have preferred distribution points over peers with the same subnet. By default, the management point prioritizes peer cache sources at the top of the list and content locations. This setting reverses the priority for clients that are in the same subnet as the peer cache source. And then also the preferred cloud distribution points over distribution points. If you have a branch office with a faster internet link, you can now prioritize cloud content. And then also the management insights rule for per cache source client version. Also the client management side, you'll see a new client notification action to wake up device. Improvements in collection evaluation. So the following changes will be made in the collection evaluation behavior can improve site performance. Previously, when you configured a schedule on a query-based collection, the site would continue to evaluate the query whether or not you enable the collection setting to schedule a full update on this collection. To fully disable the schedule, you had to change the schedule to none, and now the site clears the schedule when you disable the setting. To specify a schedule for collection evaluation, enable the option to schedule a full update to this collection. Now, you can't disable the evaluation of built-in collections like all systems, but you can now configure the schedule. The behavior allows you to customize this action at a time that meets your business requirements. There's also improvements in client installation. There's also improvements in co-management. Required app compliance policy for co-management devices, if you guys are using that. There's also improvement in application management, so you can now convert applications to MSIX. Starting in version 1806, which was when that started, Configuration Manager supports deployment of new Windows 10 app packages .msix format. You can now convert your existing Windows installer MSI applications to the MSIX format. You also can repair applications. You can approve application requests via email. Detection methods don't load Windows PowerShell profiles, so let's resolve that. Also in the OS deployment, task sequence deployed for Windows Autopilot for existing devices. You can specify the device drive for offline OS imaging servicing. Task sequence support for boundary groups, which is great. Improvements in driver maintenance, which is great. Driver packages now have additional metadata fields for manufacturer and model. So keep that in mind. Software updates. Phased deployment of software updates. You can create phased deployment for software updates. Phased deployments allow you to orchestrate a coordinated sequence rollout of software based on customizable criteria and groups. Improvement in maintenance windows for software updates. So you'll be able to enable installation of updates in all deployments maintenance window when software updates maintenance window is available. Reporting improvement in lifecycle dashboard. Configuration Manager console will also be upgraded. Support Center. Use Support Center for client troubleshooting, real-time logging, viewing, or capturing the state of a Configuration Manager client, but later analysis. And also it'll be in the cd.latest/SMS setup tools support center folder. Management Insight dashboard. You'll see some improvements there. Improvements in the CM pivot. So basically the pivot will include some favorite queries, which will be nice. Improvements in the scripts. And then also include the on-prem MDM, which is an Intune connection. An Intune connection is no longer required for an on-premise MDM, which is kind of nice. And that's kind of basically it. I just wanted to kind of go over some main, updates that you'll see in 1810. And again, I'm going to be creating some videos on how to enable some of these features and how to go about turning those things on and taking a look at. But the good news is this update will support the latest version of the OS operating system, which is 2019. And let's see if my download is finished. Okay, so now it's ready to install. So now what we're going to do is I always like to do the prereq check just to make sure, even though I've already validated that, I've met the requirements. It's always a good idea. Now, what you can do, you can back up your VM. If your primary site's on a virtual machine, I would do a snapshot, do your upgrade, and then if there's any issues, you can always revert back to that snapshot. But if there's no issues, then you can obviously remove the snapshot. Now, I've already done that. So that's one way to back up your environment. You also want to make sure you back up your SQL database and your environment. Make sure that, in the event there is an issue, you can easily revert back. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and run the prerequisite check. Now this will take about 10 minutes or so to kind of run through the prerequisite checks. So what you want to do to check this, there's a log file that you can look at. And I mentioned this log file before. If you go to CU update, this log file, CM update log file, this will kind of give you an idea of what's happening behind the scenes. And it's always good to look at the log file, take a look, and make sure that there's no issues and no errors when you're in this process of upgrading your environment to the new version. Now it does take a few minutes to load. And as you can see, it's kind of going through some stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the monitoring. Okay. Show status. Okay, so no. It's taken some time to do the prerequisites, so I can't, so again, I got the log file open. Also, before you do the upgrade, make sure that you don't have any major problems in your environment. You don't have any issues with your management point or issues with your SQL, all of that stuff. So normally what I like to do is I like to check here, site status, make sure now this is, I already know about this error, but you want to make sure that you got all your components are working, everything's okay, because if you have issues and you do the upgrade and you have other issues, you can potentially add time to your troubleshooting. So I would recommend that you make sure that your environment is 100% working before you upgrade your environment. I've seen so many times where people upgrade when they've had some issues and all of a sudden they got to figure out what's going on. So I would just make that recommendation. Now, so my environment's working 100%, so we're going to let this run and I'll be back shortly. I had to wait a couple minutes, so now it's showing up. As you can see, if you go to monitoring, update and servicing status, you can see that it's in the process, and you can click on show status. You can see that it's downloading, doing the replication, does the prereq check. So, I mean, I know when you do the installation, I'll do another prereq check, but I always like to do this just to make sure that all my ducks in a row and I've got everything covered. So we're just going to wait for this to complete. This will take some time, and I'll be back. And as you can see here, it's now what you'll see it should say ready to install. Once you've done the prerequisite check and everything, it should show up as ready to install. There are no issues, which is good. This is what you want to see. So at this point, I can go ahead and install the update pack. So I'm going to do that. You can either right click and do install update pack, or you can come up here, whichever you want to do. So I'm just going to go ahead and do next. And then I'm just going to leave the defaults. I mean, you can add some other stuff in here if you want to, but it will take longer to do the install. But keep that in mind. You can always go back in here and add stuff later. So I'm just going to do the basic. I'm going to go ahead and do upgrade without validating, which we've already validated everything. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we're going to accept the terms. And we're going next. And then this part will take a few minutes, but then it'll take some time to do the actual update. There you go. And we'll go ahead and refresh. So now it's installing. So I'm going to pause this video while it installs, and I'll be right back. Hello. Okay, so now you can see it's gone through the prerequisite check again. As you can see, it proceeded with some warnings. So you're going to have to fix those warnings before you can continue. So what you'll need to do is click on the 1810, click on Show Status, and you can see it's got a warning there. And if you click on Show Status, now my warning check, starting with 1810, it's going to start checking this SQL Server performance issue caused by change tracking. So starting at 1810, it'll check this change tracking. Now by default, it's set to 5 megabytes. Anyways, if I open up my SQL, and I'll show you this later, but what you're going to need to do to fix that, and you probably will get that warning, and you'll need to be at least SQL 2012 Service Pack 4 or greater. It's going to impact all versions of SQL, starting with 2012 Service Pack 4. It'll do that check, and what'll happen is you'll run this command. You have to be in the DAC mode, which is Dedicated Administrative Connection. So this is what I'm in right now, and I'll show you how to connect using DAC. So what you'll do is you run this command, and I'll provide the link in the description below. There's two different commands. The first one is to see if you run, let me get that command for you. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to use this command here. So I'm going to put this in here. And you put in your database, or your SCCM database instance in here. Alright, so when you run this, what you want to do is you want to look at the CT days old. Now, by default, it's set to 5. Right now, it's 6. Now, if it's greater than 7, mine was initially it was at 13. It's greater than 7, then you're going to need to run this command, which I had on the screen originally. So I'm going to put that in here. Oh, I forgot to change it to the database. 1 second. Alright, that's my database. Okay, so so what you'll do is you run this command, and it'll change from whatever that days old was back to 5. It's now 6, but that'll fix it. Now this could take that's all you have to run, and if you want to monitor it, you can do this command to monitor, because it could take anywhere between a few minutes to run to a few hours, depending on the size of your database. Now, if you want to monitor it, you can just click on type in this command, and then you just execute, and it'll tell you, like, this is how often I've ran it, and that kind of stuff, and it'll tell you the status of that. So that's all done. Once you've completed this, you're going to then need to go back and rerun this again. Go back. So you're going to retry the installation. Now it's going to go ahead and start checking prerequisites, and it's going to go through the process. I'm going to pause the video while it's doing that. This time I should get all green checks and be able to install. So I'll be right back. Okay, at some point when you do a refresh, you're going to see this message on the screen. That means this time there was no issues and it went through the install. So I'm going to go ahead and say okay. And it's going to, at this point, update your SCCM console to the latest version. As you see here. And there it goes, it's starting to set up. And there it is, it's almost done. It does take a few minutes. To run the installer. All right. Now it should launch the console automatically when it's finished. There it goes. All right, so let's take a look at the status. And as you can see, it's kind of doing some installing. And there's the new version. So the clients are going to be 8740. They're going to be the new client version. And I'll just take a moment to sort of say it's installed. So I'm going to pause while it finishes. And when everything is completed successfully, you'll see that it'll say installed. It did take a few minutes to install some post components, do a post installation thing. So this is what you'll see. Your environment's now been upgraded to 1810. And what you can see is the About Config Manager. You'll see this is new version, 1810. This is going to be the client version, which is 8740, 1000. So when you go to the devices, you'll see the client version. So right now the client version is on the 1806 hotfix. So it will take a couple of days to go through and upgrade them. One of the things you can check, and you can go ahead and push it out right away if you want to, or just kind of let SCCM kind of do its thing. So at this point, you can upgrade. You're going to have to push out the clients to your environment, and you'll have to update your image to include the new version of the 1810. And that's basically it. That's all you need to do to get your config manager up to 1810. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel. There's going to be a lot more content coming your way. Again, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.